your man Skyzoo, Skyzoo, live from the 718. You know what this is, the album Foundation. You got the joint on here from me called Strung Out, produced by Shuko. We're gonna have this remix producer contest, Coal Mine Records, you know what it is. All you up-and-coming producers, we're gonna have an acapella available remix contest. Let's get it.
Talk about kind of like how you got to where you're at right now, because you dropped that joint with Ninth Wonder. You've been rated one of the top MCs, multiple venues, you know, you've been on BET, MTV and all that. So just talk about kind of the history.
The way it started, I mean, I already had like a crazy presence in New York as far as a mixtape circuit, and you know, I had mixtape with Absolute called City's Favorite back in '05, and a bunch of tapes before that that really took off real big. But it was a New York thing, you know what I'm saying? But man, once I hooked up with Ninth Wonder, that was when everything jumped off. You know, I always say Ninth is the reason why I was able to kick in the door and just go full-fledged and run with his name and his brand and do what I wanted. So once we did, you know, Cloud 9, we did, you know, the 3-day joint. That was it, because that was worldwide. It wasn't just like a mixtape in New York. That made people all over notice.
How do you, being from Brooklyn and all, hook up with the cat from North Carolina?
I met Ninth and the whole J League through my man Sean Don from the Justice League as well. Shout out to Sean Don.
Talk about, you know, we're in New York City right now. It's your hometown. Brooklyn's your hometown, the home base. You know, talk about the come up, like what got you into hip hop, just being from the Mecca, you know, where it all began. Chi
Ali, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, 1991. I was 9 years old. That was it. When I saw that video, man, I was blown. I was like, oh, that's what I'm doing right there. And the minute it went off, I started rapping. You know what I mean? And I knew from day one, that's what I wanted to do with my life. It wasn't like it's a hobby and then later it turned into something. It was like, nah, from day one, this is what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? I put my all into it from the first day. I'm still a fan. I think what a lot of artists lose is being fans of the music. You know what I'm saying? It's just, yeah, it's just like if you play ball, like LeBron James is one of the greatest on the planet, but he's still a Kobe Bryant fan, and vice versa. And that's the way it gotta be, else you're gonna lose your craft, like you're gonna lose your love and passion for it, making it where you ain't as good as you need to be. So I think once you stop becoming a fan just because you do it, that's when you lose out.
Favorite post-2005?
Jeezy first album, Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101, definitely. Jay-Z American Gangster, Lupe the Cool, Clips, Hell Have No Fury.
You actually lived a block down the street from Biggie.
I was like 12, 13 when Big really started taking off. So we used to see them all the time. I was like 11, 12, 13. We used to see C's, we used to see Kim, all of them before they popped. When Big was just starting to pop, like when the Juicy video was getting made and everything. It made it where me wanting to do it, I could do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't, nah, that's not a possibility, that's not a reality. It was like, yes, it is, look up the block. Like, literally 30 seconds, you know what I'm saying? Like, was big. You know, I was 133, he was 226, if I'm not mistaken.
What's kind of like the backstory in terms of what he was known as, other than being a rapper in that era?
Right. He definitely lived what he talked about. You know, I think that's what's missing nowadays, the authenticity. You know what I mean? Like, the authenticity of the music and being able to stand behind them words, you know what I mean? And that's why with my music, I talk about what I know. If you hear me talking about a 9 to 5, it's because I know that. If you hear me talking about buying a car before I had a license and I was driving on a low because I literally didn't have a license, that really happened. Like, if you talk about street stuff, that really happened. Like, whatever it is, good or bad, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna make sure whatever I say, I stand behind those words, you know what I mean?
You were friends with Stack Bundles, R.I.P. What are some of your memories of him?
Another one who lived everything he talked about. I'm talking about Benz and Beamer, you know, with no deal. I'm talking about the two-door Beamer, the red and black joint, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the Porsche with the drop, you know what I'm saying? Like, another one who really lived what he talked about. And people would say things when he was alive about his music, about being too flashy and flamboyant, but that's what he lived. Like, we did shows where he had on blue minks. You know what I'm saying? We had on, like, you know, I Fly, whatever it was that was hot at the moment, you know, the Nietzsche or whatever it was that was hot back then. He had the blue mink with the blue hat on. Like, he lived what he talked about, you know what I'm saying? So that's another one who is definitely, you know, I'm gonna always be a fan of, as well as somebody who I came up with. Rest in peace, my man Stack Bundles.
You came up in Brooklyn during like the crack era and all this, you know, Biggie, Stack Bundles, like you're saying, cats running around in minks having cars before they're like 16, before they got deals. But you were also an English major, so there's like two sides to a life that you've lived.
Yeah, I rapped, I played ball, I hung out with dudes who was outside in the street every day. You know, I was around all of that, but I never let it define me or make me who I am to an extent. You know what I'm saying? I never let that only be me. You know, I had parents who made sure that I went to the best schools, so I never went to school in my neighborhood. Like, I lived in some of the worst neighborhoods in Brooklyn, but never went to school in my neighborhood. I always went to school in Manhattan or in a good neighborhood in Brooklyn or whatever. My parents made sure of that, you know what I mean? So I was lucky. I was one of the few kids on the block who had his father with him, you know what I mean? Like, I was lucky. So I went to school, English major. I didn't finish school, you know what I'm saying? But I went to school for 2.5 2.5 years, English major. Did real good, but you know how life is and things happen and you need money and you leave that alone to go do this, you know what I mean? So, you know, that was reality, but it definitely made me who I am, especially being a writer with my music, you know what I mean? Because I'm able to do things lyrically that a lot of people literally may not be able to do, not because they're not nice or they're not talented, because they don't have the knowledge. I was afforded that knowledge by going to school for 2.5 years for that, you know what I mean? So I can go certain places with my writing that somebody else may not be able to. So at the end of the day, even though I ain't finished, I feel like I definitely got out of it what I was supposed to get and then some, you know what I mean?
You got a recommendation?
I'm gonna just give you authors. You definitely gotta have Donald Goines. You definitely gotta have Claude Brown. You definitely gotta have Iceberg Slim, you know, the Toni Morrisons and the Terry McMillans and Maya Angelou's, you know what I'm saying? It's not just about the male writers all the time, you know what I mean? And I go back, man, Langston Hughes and all that. I go to Langston Hughes, I do all that, man. Like, even musically, I go back to jazz. Like, I'm the biggest Coltrane, Miles Davis fan in the world, like, you know what I mean? So I go back when it comes to a lot of inspiration, you know? Skyzoo, DJ Drama, Static Selector, the Power of Words, coming late April. Mano's on it, Wale is on it, Talib Kweli is on it, Young Chris is on it. I can't even get no more names, but it's stupid though. And then the album after that, The Salvation, production by Pete Rock, Ninth Wonder, Knots, Needles, Ill Mind. A couple names that when you read the credits, you're gonna be like, he got him? Wow. Yeah, I got a couple of those, you know? Let's get it, SK.
SKYZOO, the foundation.